Hello guys, welcome to Vishnu IAS Academy. Hope you're all doing well. So today we are going to analyze previous year questions of the subject polity. Okay, so these were the questions that were asked in 2023 UPSC prelims examination, and this subject is polity. So before starting this, generally polity, it has a weightage of nearly 15 to 20% in the prelims examination of UPSC. So mostly the questions will be concentrated on static part. Most of the questions will be concentrated on the static part, which include mostly constitutional amendments, landmark judgments. Okay, landmark judgments will fall under current aspects. Okay, and also articles of the constitution, so etc. type of questions will be mostly concentrated upon in the UPSC prelims. Its weightage is 15 to 20%, which carries a majority portion for UPSC prelims. Okay, so that is the importance of this. On that note, we shall start analyzing the questions of polity. These questions were taken from UPSC prelims 2023 paper. Okay, so without delaying, let's see the first question. What is the first question? First question is related to constitution. So first question is asked regarding constitution. So what is the question here? Which one of the following statements best reflects the chief purpose of the constitution of a country? So here the question, it states that 4 statements have been given, and this question is asking us to pick the best statement which defines the chief or the principle or the significant rule or the principle of the constitution of any country for that matter. Okay, so let's see what those statements are. It means the constitution determines the objective for the making of necessary laws. So first statement says that constitution is a written document or a oral document, because some countries will have written document, whereas some countries doesn't have written document of the constitution. Okay, so this determines the objective for making of necessary laws which govern a particular country. Is this the chief principle? Or it enables the creation of political offices and a government. Is it a set of principles which enables the creation of political offices and government? Is this the statement correct? Or third one, it defines and limits the powers of a government. This is another principle. It defines as well as limits also what the powers of the government. And finally, the constitution secures social justice, social equality and social security. Okay, if we observe carefully and thoroughly, all the 4 statements, they actually define the function, they define the principles of the constitution, no doubt in that. But yes, what is the main or the significant principle which defines the constitution of a country is all that we'll be seeing by seeing the explanation of this question. See, if we see the explanation, what is constitution? It is nothing but a supreme law of a country which will be serving multiple functions, like it will be giving a set of principles, rules and regulations which the country is ought to follow, okay, with consensus of different communities or different diverse groups dwelling in a country to be ruled by the elected or represented government. Okay, that is what is said to be the constitution. It is nothing but a set of rules, principles and regulations for governing a country. Okay, so on that note, it is the supreme law. Every rule and law should be made in accordance with the principles that have been given in the constitution, and also it serves multiple functions. Constitution will be having various functions related to government functions, related to all the 3 organs of the government, be it judiciary, executive, okay, and legislative. And now, first principle is defining the structure of government. Okay, so what does a constitution does? It will be defining the structure of a government. How? A constitution lays out the structure of the nation's government. It establishes the different branches. That's what I told you, right? What does the structure of the government constitute of? 3 organs. It has 3 organs: legislative organ, judiciary organ, and executive organ. Okay. So all these will be defined, structured in the constitution itself. Those are different branches or the organs of the government, like legislative, executive, and judicial, and specifies the roles and responsibilities of each of these branches or organs of the government. Okay. So hence it will be defining the structure of a government, right? And next, limiting governmental power. This is also the most important function of the principle of the constitution. It will be limiting the powers of the government. This is a very, very crucial aspect. A constitution delineates the powers that each branch and level of government can exercise. It will be putting a cap, okay, on the governmental part, especially in each and every branch, be it judiciary, legislative, and executive. Okay. And it also imposes limits to prevent abuse of power. Why do you think that it will need to impose limits in order to prevent the abuse of the power? All these have been framed by taking lessons from the previous historical events, especially from the World War I and II. Okay, so that is why they felt the need for curbing or limiting the power of the government. Okay, especially after taking lessons from World War I and World War II. This principle is also known as the rule of law. Very, very important. Limiting the government power is said to be the rule of law, which means that every individual, including those in power, every individual, each and every person dwelling in the country will fall under the purview of this rule of law, are subject to the law, which means that every person should abide and obey the rule of law of that country, starting from president to normal citizen of a country. Okay. This is the chief function of the constitution. So here itself, I guess you got the answer of this. What is the answer? It defines and limits the powers of a government. This is the correct answer. Through rule of law. Saying that nobody is above the law of a state or a country. Okay? And third chief function is protecting the rights of citizens through fundamental rights. Every country will be having their own set of fundamental or the basic rights with which every citizen of that particular country will be protected, with which every citizen of the country will be given freedom, choice of their own living. Okay, so those are also embedded in the constitution of any country. Okay, many constitutions also include certain fundamental rights or similar mechanisms to protect. Why? To protect individual freedoms and also rights from government infringement or government's interference, for that matter. Okay, so that means you, me, and every citizen of this country will be given the freedom of choice of living, okay, freedom of expression, kind of things which are embedded in the fundamental rights of our constitution, which are seen in part 3 of the constitution. Likewise, every country to its citizens will be giving certain freedom of choices, and also these fundamental rights are devoid of governmental interference. That means they will be given judicial protection. What? Fundamental rights. Okay, so is it clear? Now, so the answer is the chief or the most significant principle of the constitution of any country is it defines as well as limits the powers of government. Okay, this is the main principle. Next question. Consider the following organizations or bodies in India. Okay, what are the bodies given? National Commission for Backward Classes, National Human Rights Commission, the National Law Commission, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission. Okay, so what is the question posed over here? How many of the above constitution are constitutional bodies? How many of the above given bodies are said to be constitutional bodies is the question posed over here. So before that, we will be having in our government, we'll be having various bodies or the commissions or the organizations which act or which will be doing different types of functions on behalf of the government that are established by the constitution or by the laws passed by the parliament or by any executive orders. Okay, these are the three different types of bodies or the organizations or the commissions that are present in the governmental system of our country. Okay, so among them, one category of body is said to be the constitutional body. The name itself suggests constitutional and body, which means that these bodies are referred or are present directly in the constitution of our country itself. That means the mention of these bodies will be seen directly in the constitution itself. So that means these bodies will be deriving their powers and authorities directly from the constitution. That means, for example, let's suppose a family. Okay, so and these are also the most powerful bodies of a constitution. Why? Not of a constitution, sorry, of a government. Why? Because, for example, let's suppose a family of 4 members is present, consisting of parents and 2 children. Okay, what if in this patriotic society, if a father gives any of the power directly to any child, he'll be considered the most powerful. Isn't that so? For example, if that particular brother or sister to whom the powers from the father are transferred, has again transferred those powers to his or her sibling, that sibling power will be considered subordinate to this particular child. Yes or no? See, for example, let's say father, okay, has passed his powers directly to any of his children X. Okay, he is having 2 children X and Y. He passed his power to the child named X. Okay, so which means that the father, as the father directly passed his powers to him, he is considered the most powerful in the family of 3 members. Okay, for example, some of these powers have been transferred from X to Y. Okay, he is also powerful, but not as powerful as X. Yes or no? His powers are somewhat less compared to the powers of X. Okay, same is the case with constitutional bodies. Constitutional bodies, they derive their powers. Here X is deriving his power directly from his father. Yes or no? Similarly, constitutional bodies will be deriving their power and authorities from the constitution directly. So that is why they are more powerful. They'll be having much more authority. Okay, in order to change any of the functions or the powers of these constitutional bodies, amendments to this constitution is mandatory. So, such is the power given to these kind of bodies. So, among these, what is the constitutional body? Let's see the explanation. First, option is National Commission for Backward Classes. Okay, initially it has been established by an act of parliament. Those bodies which are established by the act of the parliament are said to be non-constitutional bodies or statutory bodies. Why statutory bodies named? Because another name for the laws of the parliament is statutes, as they derive their power from the statutes passed by the parliament. They are said to be statutory bodies. Okay, so which are less powerful than constitutional bodies, same just like the Y over there in that example. Okay, so here first of all, National Commission for Backward Classes was initially established by the act of a parliament in 1993. Okay, and thereafter it became a constitutional body. See, non-constitutional bodies can be converted into constitutional bodies as well. Remember this. Okay, non-constitutional body after the Constitutional Amendment Act 2018, which is 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 2018. From then onwards, National Commission for Backward Classes has become a constitutional body. Remember this. Clear? And next, coming to the next body, the National Human Rights Commission. It is a statutory body, which I have explained you just now. Okay, it's a statutory body established under the Protection of Human Rights Act in the year 1993 in order to protect human rights. Okay, a commission or a body has been established by the act passed by the parliament in the year 1993. Okay, till now it hasn't been transformed into constitutional body. So it is a statutory body. It is not a constitutional body. So this answer is wrong. Okay, this is the right answer. And National Law Commission. This is an executive body, okay, which has been passed by the executive orders of the parliament. It is established by an order of Government of India, neither a constitutional nor a statutory body. Okay, so that means this is also wrong answer. This is also not a constitutional body. And finally, the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission. So, and this is a statutory body. This has been established under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. This is the parliamentary act under which this particular commission has been established in 1986 itself, and later replaced by the Consumer Protection Act in 2019. Later it has been renamed as Consumer Protection Act in the year 2019. So we can say that this is also not a constitutional body, hence it is also does not fall under the category of constitutional body, which is a wrong answer. So finally the correct answer over here for this particular question is National Commission for Backward Classes, which is the only constitutional body that has been mentioned in this question. Clear? Very good. Let's look into third question, which is related to president. Okay, consider the following statements. This is the question I am reading. What are the statements given over here? If the election of the President of India is declared void by the Supreme Court of India, all acts done by him or her in the performance of duties of his or her office of President before the date of decision becomes invalid. What does this statement say? Is that, let's suppose the Supreme Court of India has declared the election of a president as void or as as not valid one. Okay, so what if the duties or the functions performed by that president while he is in office, are they also struck off or declared invalid, or do they continue to be valid? Is the question, is the statement. Okay, second statement. Election for the post of the President of India can be postponed on the ground that some legislative assemblies have been dissolved and elections are yet to take place. Generally, see, I'll explain this. See, election for the post of the President of India can be postponed. Is it so that the elections of a president can be postponed on the ground or on the reason that certain state legislative assemblies have been dissolved or not? Can the election of the president can be postponed on the ground that certain state legislative assemblies have been dissolved? Okay, this is the question. Because president will be elected indirectly by MLAs and MPs, MLAs of all the states and union territories. Okay, union territories especially of Delhi and Puducherry, and also by the MPs of both the houses of the parliament. So that is why if any state legislative assembly has been dissolved, what about the MLAs of that particular state? Do they have the right to vote, or will the election of the president will be postponed till new elections have been conducted in that particular state or not? Is the statement given over here. Okay, and third one, when a bill is presented to the President of India, the Constitution prescribes time limits within which he or she has to declare his or her assent. Okay, generally all the bills that have been introduced in the parliament will be passed to the president for his or her assent, and only after president's assent that particular bill will become an act. It's very clear, right? So now the question here, the statement over here states that whether the Constitution gives any time limit for the president for the bill that has been passed to him to give his assent or not. Time limit by constitution for the assent of a bill passed by the parliament to the president, yes or no? Okay, so the question is, how many of the above statements are correct? Are they correct or wrong? Okay, let's see with the explanation. See, first one. If the election of the president is declared void by the Supreme Court, all acts that are performed by the president while he remaining in the office and all the decisions that have been taken by the president will be valid. They won't be declared as not valid, but they will be declared as valid under Article 71 and Clause 2 of the Constitution. Okay? So, hence, the president's actions are protected and they do not become invalid. Hence, statement 1 is incorrect. Though the president election is declared invalid by the Supreme Court, he will be stepping down from his office. That's it. But all the decisions, all the bills that have been passed by the president while he is in his office are not declared invalid, but they are valid under Article 71 and Clause 2 of the Constitution. So, statement 1 is incorrect. Here it is saying that they will be invalid, but no, they will be valid. Okay? Right. Now, explanation for the second statement. Postponement of presidential elections. The election for the president cannot be postponed on the ground that a particular legislative assembly has been dissolved. Okay, so that state MLAs won't participate in the election of the president. For example, let's suppose Karnataka State Assembly has been dissolved, but election for the president are in the process. So, which means that Karnataka state won't participate in the election of the president, but the process for the election of the presidents will continue. It doesn't stop for merely Karnataka state. As well as the MLAs of Karnataka state also doesn't take part in the election process of the president. Note it, please. Okay. So, statement 2 is also not correct. It is incorrect. The election process continues as per the schedule and elected representatives from the remaining states participate. Okay, clear? Now, third one is no time limit for presidential assent. So here, for the president to give his assent to any bill that has been passed by the parliament, there is no article prescribing time limit for the president to give his permission or assent for the bill. So that means third statement is also incorrect. Okay, so Constitution doesn't give any time limit for the president to give his permission for the bill to become an act. Okay, so the Constitution does not prescribe any specific time limit within which the president must declare her assent, his or her assent or the permission for a bill. The president can withhold, in turn, the president can either withhold or delay assent without any time limit. He can keep with himself the bill for how much time he wants, or else he can give his assent to the bill and let it pass by the parliament also. Okay, so Constitution doesn't have any role in prescribing any time limit for the president. So statement 3 is also wrong or incorrect. So the answer is none. None of the statements which are given above are correct. So D is the correct answer over here. Okay, on this note, I hope this will be helpful for you. All the best. Bye.